Well, welcome back everybody, this is Bob with part 3 of our run down to the Burt Munro Classic motorcycle rally in Invercargill in February 2023. Another one of the events was the drag racing or the quarter-mile runs. It was held in the evening and it had been raining pretty consistently throughout the day, so it was still a bit damp by the time they got to this part of the day, and they had a lot more bravery in them than I ever would do, so it was interesting and fun and exhilarating just to watch how people were just ripping up the quarter mile just in preparation. These were just sort of trial runs or practice runs that they were doing. Some people were pretty loose. The guy on the VMAX here, an absolute weapon, just nailed it all the way down the track. Of course, it's always more interesting to me often to look at bikes in the car park than just to watch some of the activities on track. The old Honda-matic there was amazing. How many of those do you ever see? The Z9, I mean, they're just going for a fortune these days. Beautiful early 90s FXR in really nice standard looking condition. Looks like a Harris 2-1 on there. Old Sprint Trumpy and a Sport Glide Harley and a great, they're a great bike, adventure bike, the 1200 Tenere by Yamaha. CVO lowrider, I want to say. And just all sorts and everything. And a few cars as well that were pretty cool. Now this is someone's creation with a hardtail Springer inline 4. Different sort of custom looking engine in that arrangement. Probably breaks your spine every time you ride it. I think this is an old Ford truck. I could be wrong. I'm not so great on some of my old cars, but you'll see that in a few minutes going down the track. Father and a daughter were running these two bikes together. They had a little bit of a go with each other down the track. She was just a young girl and gave her dad a race. It was really great. Great thing about racing culture in New Zealand is that you can get pretty up close and personal to the action, and even though it's always a different experience being there than watching on a video, you can get pretty close and in amongst the action, which is fantastic. Here's a guy with all the yellow on his M109R Suzuki. Gonna give it the herbs, I'm sure. You know, I'll give it to all of these guys and girls that raced. I probably never would do this. Even though I love to ride, I probably never do this. They're pretty gutsy. And it was a bit, for that very reason. You don't want to bin it right on the start line. But it was still a little bit, it wasn't wet anymore, but it wasn't absolutely bone dry or nice and warm either. So, you know. Now there's that Triumph we saw in the other video on the hill climb day. The supercharger, that sounded amazing and went like a rocket too, so that was pretty cool. People take everything and anything down the track, obviously sort of specialised bikes made for it. A few bikes you'll see in a minute, through to these sort of KTM smaller sort of 690 I want to say, maybe, or maybe that's a bigger one, but some of them were smaller, racing with each other. Old Harleys, that's the old Norton we saw on the hill climb video. Now I've got a funny feeling that he may have laid that down in one of the races. May not have been this racing set, but on another one of the days. I'm sure that bike went down. Harley Destroyer there. Another homemade, home-built drag bike. Lots of smoke, lots of warming up of the tyres. See how well they perform though, shall we? They've both got the long swing arms. Quite prepared for drag racing, these two bikes. Absolutely pinning it. I mean, they were getting up there too. There was some pretty good times. Oh, a couple of bikes with the wheelie bars. Hold on, mate. There we go. A bit of valve bounce. Change on the right moment. Now this is almost looks homemade, lots of Harley parts. It's not a Boss Hoss, it's a big Chevy powered cruiser really that probably just had like one gear because it was so torquey, and you'll see it at the moment going down the track, it just smokes it up all the way. It was pretty amazing. Lots of rain, lots of sort of moisture in the air, giving us some beautiful images in the sky. Yep, almost spins it. You just see the tyre lighting up all the way down a quarter mile. It's amazing. Sounded great too. Lots of people turned out. Just lined all the way down the track. I mean, that goes for a quarter mile. And there we are with reposition. There's the old truck that we saw earlier, giving it a bit of a wallop. Now, see coming at a moment like an old rail. Well, it's the engine's in front of the driver drag car. I'm not sure what the style of drag car is that you'd call it, but it was probably just doing a bit of a demo run, and it was the one that I opened the video with, absolutely loud as anything. And it was a real shame that it wasn't better conditions, because it just couldn't get its power down to give a good solid, run down the quarter mile. But it was a great experience, a great visual experience and oral experience, just to sort of hear, see all the great stuff going on. Here's that car. Here we go. See you in the next one. Thanks very much. This is Bob.